Hey guys,
Hey,
it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. I'm super excited always when I get to spend time with the one and only positivity coach, guru, goddess, Kendra Davies with Stellar Life Coaching. Hey Kendra, welcome back. How you doing?
hello, Teddy Bear. It's good to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. You know, I love this topic. I love any topic we talk about. I always get so much out of it. But I really love this topic because there are power in words. And I'm always amazed at how people speak so much negative into their lives and then wonder why their lives are like Eeyore 24/7. So this is perfect. So we're going to talk about red flag words, how language affects your mind and how you feel. All right, but before we do that, tell them a little bit about you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kendra Davies, and I am a positive psychology practitioner and a life coach. I own Stellar Life Coaching here in Orlando, Florida. And yeah, I'm here every Tuesday with my favorite human, talking about topics that matter, and we talk it out. How to up level and live your best life. What skills, resources, tools do you need? Ted and I try to provide.
Well, I am the guinea pig because she's the brilliant talent, and I'm just here to ask the crazy questions that everybody else might be afraid to ask. So that's why I love these, because I can come in and ask stuff everybody wants to know. So we hear about it, and if you're a faith person, you've heard of the power of words. Any kind of psychology or therapy, anything you've ever been involved with, you know that words are incredibly powerful, and people talk about the sharpness of the tongue and how the tongue can cut. So let's talk about red flag words. What do you mean by that when you mention that actual term?
So I call them red flag words. And whenever I start working with anybody, I'm really mindful of language. I feel like language is really powerful. The words we choose, do we choose victim words, empowered words? Do we choose aggressor words, right? It tells us a lot about the way we perceive the world around us, right? And so red flag words are the words people lean on when they're stuck in a limiting belief or fear. And these red flag words are kind of like an entry level 101 emotional intelligence, like a thing you could do to grow your emotional intelligence is to start paying attention to the language that you lean on when you are afraid, when you're being challenged, when you want to avoid confrontation. In my world, we call it protection, right? When you want to protect yourself and avoid discomfort, not have this conversation, we tend to lean on certain words like can't, always, never. These tend to be words that we pull up and we use in response, right? So can't is probably the most popular, widely used, and not challenged enough red flag words. So we say things
I know people that use, look, I've used it too. So's Kendra. So it's not like we're saying we haven't used it. We don't understand that. But as you grow and hopefully progress, you begin to realize that some of those words do have an impact. So can't is one of them that I hear a lot. I can't because there's always some sort of justification. So what word could people use instead?
Well, I don't think it's choosing a different word. I think it's learning to challenge yourself into recognizing the truth of the matter. Can't in particular is one that is often false. It's not false 100% of the time, but more often than not, when we choose the word can't, it's just not true. So we say things like, oh, I can't possibly confront this person, or I can't possibly ask her out, or I can't possibly write this book or go on that stage or do this thing that I want so deeply. I just can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it, right? And more often than not, it's not that we can't, we can. It is possible, but we're afraid, right? So I don't think it's choosing another word. I think it's recognizing and challenging yourself to say the truth behind it. So it's not that I can't, it's that I'm afraid of being rejected. It's when I get up on that stage, I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my words. I'm gonna make an ass out of myself. It's that if I sit down and write this book, like who's gonna give a shit about what I have to say, right? Like if you were to challenge yourself and give an honest response, you would say something like that because You can sit down and type words on a page. You absolutely can, right? You absolutely can go on that stage and talk in front of those people. You 100% can. You have legs and air in your lungs and a voice and maybe some ideas that could be provided via verbal communication. Like, you can do those things. What is really actually stopping you? It is not an inability. It is often fear, self-doubt, a lack of confidence. You don't feel like you have enough resources. You don't feel like you have enough information. You don't feel ready yet, right? Like, whatever that thing is, challenge yourself to really say the things. And a few things happen when you do.
Oh yeah, tell us the positives. What happens?
So when you do, you actually put yourself in a position to receive the feedback and experiences that you want and need to move forward, right? When I stopped saying that I can't do something and I started talking about being afraid, specifically for me, it was around like body stuff. Like, I was afraid to do videos. I was afraid to put myself out there. I think about how long it took me following you before I finally reached out and I was like, hi.
You're a natural.
But here's the thing. It's like, when I started talking about the reasons, the real reasons why I wasn't doing it, if it was with my own coach and therapist mentors, if it was with my clients or my friends, when I started being more honest, I started to get information that I didn't have before. When I started to say I was afraid and that it was body stuff, I got validation. I got support that I needed. Yes. Information that helped me realize, like, okay, like, this is a story I'm making up in my head. The fear that I had, like, wasn't real. Like, there was no actual evidence. I thought there was, but there wasn't. And if I wouldn't have been honest, I would never have been able to be challenged and to check that mindset that I had.
And is it okay to say, I won't because it's basically a won't, right? It's still a choice. Let me ask you, is it still a choice? You're unable to, I don't know what's up with Wi-Fi today, but here we go. I'm unable to, or I don't want to, because I think people feel like that's a cop-out, and I think I'd rather hear the why, which is what we're trying to reframe it, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't even think it's a matter of saying I don't want to. Like, you could say I'm not ready. You know, I'm stuck. I'm stuck on the fear. I'm stuck in these thoughts. I don't see myself being able to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I could do it with this fear.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, Rob's right. There's a big difference between I can't find my keys and I haven't found my keys yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing what people that they're afraid to express, like, can't almost is, I don't have to give you any reason, I just can't.
Yeah.
So
and
like,
it also says, like, you're fundamentally incapable.
Yes.
Like, you were born with a deficiency for writing this book. You were born incapable of going on the stage and doing this thing that you want to do, right? Like, that's nonsensical. It's just nonsensical. And, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the things that you physically are actually.
Like, I can't climb Mount Everest.
Right? Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when we are in our own heads looking at our lives and our daily living, and we're saying, damn it, I want my life to be more. I want to feel better in my body. I want to have more positive relationships. I want to feel connected in my community. When you start thinking about those things, pay attention to the words you use when you're trying to tell somebody about why you're not doing it.
Yes, because I think people respond like those people responded. Your support group responded to you. Yeah. Finally, with some sort of words of affirmation, or at least validated, hey, that's okay. What can we do to show you that that's not the case? Or how can we help you build that up? But people can't immediately, to me, cuts it off. There's no discussion. I can't.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't go. Okay, well, cool.
You know, it's funny. What's another, we have people asking, what's another word? Because can't is one of those ones that I feel like we have all been trained in some way, shape, or form to use that as a crutch. Everybody's used it in some way, shape, or form that they could. It's not that they can't, but they were afraid or it didn't make sense for them. What's another word?
select the feeling. So instead of saying I can't, say I feel blank about doing this.
Yes.
I feel fear. I feel anxiety. I feel incapable. I feel unprepared. I feel fill in the blank. Like, the reason why I use this activity for growing emotional intelligence is because language is so telling. This puts you in a position to actually name your feelings as you feel them real time. So when you stop using the word can't and you start saying things like, man, I really hear you. Thank you for that support and encouraging me to write the book. I feel terrified at the idea of immortalizing my story on paper, right? Like, and now I have the ability to provide context and give information. And then also, words have the ability to get things moving, right? Like when you speak it out into the universe and you start talking about that book, not in a can't, but in a I'm afraid, in a I feel like I need more, fill in the blank. You begin to speak what you need to bring that thing finally to you because you've identified what is actually needed for you to believe that it's possible.
I also think, and I don't know if it's going too deep, but I'll go there because I had a conversation about this topic today. People who, I have a hard time around people who everything is wrong and negative. And so we're talking about the power of words. I think people don't, I actually had a conversation today with somebody who said, I don't understand why this happens to me. And I was thinking about our show and I was thinking about, all right, well, you opened the door. So you asked Ted, Ted's going to tell you. And I said, you know, most people find it hard to be around you because everything is negative. We could say the sky is blue and you'll say, yeah, but it's an ugly blue today. We can say that we like so-and-so and you can say, yes, they're amazing, but there's always a negative thing coming out of that person's mouth. And I think people don't realize that it's like diarrhea of the negative mouth all the time. So how does somebody begin to evaluate that? Have an idiot friend like me who's not afraid to tell you? What's something they can do?
So I feel like if you feel like you are negatively inclined, like first I want to forewarn that I don't believe in like toxic positivity. I don't want you to just think positively. I want you to be mindful about why you are here. Why does the brain operate the way that it does? Do you know what I mean? Like, what makes me good at what I do isn't because I look at you and I say, oh, God, that's awful, right? I say, how did we get here? You did not wake up and this is it. There's things that happen. Our life stories all kind of accumulate. Nothing gets avoided. So at some point in time, hope becomes dangerous. Happiness is dangerous. Success is dangerous. No matter how we got there. If that's because, you know, maybe when, you know, in 2008, when the market crashed, you lost that business and you had to hustle and break your back and you lost it all. And so now you're in survival mode. And even though it was a million years ago, you're still stuck in scarcity. That could be it, right? Like, I don't believe that people are just negative Nancy's. I don't believe that. Like, we get here for a reason. And I would say that if you identify with that kind of persona, then I would challenge you to ask the questions like, how did I get here? What is the underlying cause? And here's the other thing. If you don't got a problem with feeling and being negative, Nancy, then tell Ted to get on out of here. You're content with that. If that's your jam and you're making do and you love your life, then amen, preach it on. Like, do what you do. If you feel uncomfortable, if you do want something to be different, then I think that there has to be some self-compassion where we recognize that we're here for a reason. And if there isn't an actual reason, maybe it's chemical imbalance. Maybe this is an actual thing. Like, you can't stop the negativity. The negativity is there from the moment you open your eyes to the time you go to bed. There's still possibilities to getting the help you want if you want it.
Well, I had to do therapy for 1,000 years, it felt like. I'm sure it wasn't that long. As a young adult, because the negative voices, the negative that I heard growing up was still that voice in my head. I was allowing it to take over more than I would want. And so I would find myself challenging it, but I didn't necessarily have tools to do it. I knew what I needed to do. And so for me, it was finding an amazing therapist that could help me maneuver through that. But it also was me recognizing the fact that I didn't want that to be my life, because that's what I was raised in, and I was trying to get out of it.
And that is the key. Like, that is the key. Like, I'm not interested in telling anybody they're a negative Nancy. One, I don't like to give unsolicited advice or suggestions. And two, I just don't believe that anybody wakes up and just has this experience. Even a lot of the times with mental illness, there is a trigger. There's an external environmental trigger that causes the thing. So I want to be cognizant that this isn't who you are. It's what's happening. It's what you feel. It's the thoughts you think. It's not who you are as a person. And again, language is important. So when I say out into the world, I am a depressed person, or I am fill in the blank, I am a failure, I don't follow through. Whenever I say those things, that is what I speak out into the universe, and that is what follows suit. So true. It begins with our language, right? And here's the thing, I love this part, is when people want to talk about their negative self-talk, right? And they're like, well, I don't say it out loud. And I'm like, boo, if you're the only one who's hearing it, it's even worse, because those thoughts don't get challenged. Nobody on the outside can be like, hey, you're my best friend. Can you please not talk about my best friend that way? I'm really uncomfortable with the shit you're saying to yourself.
Right.
Right.
And you're around, we both know you're around people like that. And I'm not in your profession, so I don't mind giving unsolicited advice. But I just feel like if I am spending a lot of time with someone, I have to let them know for my own sanity. And then at that point, if there's no improvement, then I have to make a choice, and I have to decide whether that relationship needs to continue. But I think a lot of people continue to surround themselves with it. Why? Because misery loves company. You surround yourselves with people who are going to feed that negativity instead of really searching out some positivity in the world. And again, I don't believe they're negative Nancys to be born with either. I know the reasons why I was the way I was, and probably still am.
Mm-hmm. But you know, there's something else. And like, again, I study positive psychology. Like this is what I do. And so like they call it positive priming. And again, it is not a denial of shitty circumstances, shitty experiences, and bad things that happen. I don't have any silver lining for the negative things that have happened to you in your life or my own, right? I can acknowledge that darkness and light exist at the same time. And no matter how dark the tunnel is, I can still look for light. And that is what I mean. So, but there's things called positive priming, and you can do this from a variety of ways. So I've done it with language. Like I have words that are fun to say for me, and they make me laugh, and like they just feel good when I say them. Like hipopótamo. It's hippopotamus in Spanish, and it's one of my favorite spoken words. It feels good. Yeah. Yeah. I have playlists that are organized by emotion. When I'm angry, I have my fucking jam out playlist. When I'm up, when I want to dance, when I want to move my body, when I feel good, I've got that playlist. Like I can choose to put myself in that mindset. I watch cat fail videos when I'm feeling down. I have a video of my best friend singing, like when we were on a road trip a bajillion years ago. I watch that. My friends are comedians. I watch their stand-up bits on YouTube. Like I will go out and I will find the thing. I will still feel sad, disappointed, rejected, ashamed, all of the negative feelings. I still feel them. And then I also say, I cannot just push myself to power through a day. I want it to be authentic. I want to remember that there's something else. And what I find is that I can be sad and grateful. And I can be rejected and still believe that there's good in the world. I just have to allow myself to be able to hold both. Like both can be true. And language is one of the ways that we can get there. We have to be honest. We have to check ourselves. You know, like always and never are usually words that I pull out when I'm angry. Like I'm always talking about always and never when I'm making reference to how
you always do that.
Yeah, you always do this. You never do that. everything, always. Like these exaggeration terms are words that I lean on when I'm really trying to push it back onto other people and project. 100%. I know that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all have, though, like, I think all of us have a little button pusher in us when we are in that frame of mind, whatever that might be, backed into a corner or just having one of those days. So we come out fighting. My favorite is never and always, though. When Stacey and I get to that level of fighting, it's almost humorous. Because you know at the end you're gonna go, God, that was dumb. You don't always do that, or you don't never do that. But you get in the moment, you get frothy, and those are almost defense mechanisms, survival skills that you learned along the way to deal with whatever you have been dealing with. So yeah,
exactly.
I love that.
And then
all right,
when you know that,
tell me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When you know that, now you can scale it back. Like language is about learning to tell the truth, the whole truth, and like learning when the appropriate moments are to give people your truth. Who's earned it? Who hasn't? Who are you actually fighting with? What are you actually fighting for? Right? Like when I'm pulling out my always and my nevers and I'm trying to project and throw it out, there's probably something here that I'm not cool with. Like, I don't like the way it feels to be me in this situation. I don't like the way this interaction is going. But I promise you, I'll feel all of that. But the words that come out of my mouth are like, you never call when you say you're going to call.
Yeah.
But if I challenge myself, I can have a different conversation. You know, tell me a time where you and Stacey get to that level of argument and solutions are found.
No, you're just mad as hell. I mean, you just want to push the buttons, and after 30 plus years, you know how to push the buttons.
Exactly.
And so it's just, you get to that point, and I think having years of therapy makes me realize when I'm in the throes of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean I stop it all the time. Guys, I'm just as bad. Stacey will tell you, I am a really bad button pusher. But you have to be able to take a step back, realize why, try for that trigger or that word or that situation not to trigger you the next time. But the only way to do that is to become cognizant of it.
That and like communicate. Like a lot of what I do is just communication coaching. I would say like 85% is just learning how to say the truth. Creating enough space where the truth could actually be possible and we can accept it ourselves, and then learning how to communicate it out into the world. Like that's almost all of my job most of the time.
Well, we're glad you have your job. So if somebody's listening and they want to learn more about you and how they can maybe, I don't know, get some of your coaching services, learn more about Kendra Davies, what's the best way?
Yeah. So you can learn more about me at stellarlifecoaching.com. We do have a women's retreat going to Bali. Awesome.
Amazing. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And we leave August 25th. If you are interested in a life-changing retreat and you are a woman, I encourage you to go to thephoenixretreat.com and check it out. I also have Evolve, my online coaching program, launching July 1st. We will have two cohorts, I can talk, for the rest of 2021. If you are ready and you're curious about what it's like to work with me, if you're curious about self-discovery and really this process of peeling back the layers and learning more about yourself, Evolve is a wonderful place to start that journey. So, and that will start July 1st, so you can now pre-register in June.
All right. Kendra, love you to pieces. You're amazing. You all, this is such good stuff. It's such good stuff. Pay attention. If you have more questions, reach out to me. Obviously, I'll get you in touch with Kendra because she's the professional. I just pretend to be one on TV. Kendra Davies, stellarlifecoaching.com. We'll see you next week. You guys take care. Everybody.